Right, let's move on to this now. Let's go to the Senzo Meyiwa trial, where the state has wrapped the cross-examination of Surgeon Nkosi, a cell phone data downloader who downloaded information from accused number 3's cell phone, which was found in his possession when he was arrested in 2015 for unlawful possession of the firearm. Now, our reporter Moloko Moloto has been tracking that story, and a lot of detail has come out just in the last while. And he joins us live right now. Moloko, good evening and welcome. Let's talk about, firstly, just the tracking of the order of events, right? What has transpired in court today?
Well, it was a very short day today in court. The first person to take to the witness stand for the state was retired, not really retired, he just resigned from the employ of the SAPS. He's now working for the private sector, Sergeant Elphas Mushwana, who at the time was responsible for downloading the information and data from the cell phones of the people who were with Senzo Meyiwa on the day he died, including Kelly Khumalo, her sister Zandi. And we heard in court that these two Khumalo sisters did not give the police their passwords. However, the software that the police used managed to override that. And the only people who provided their passwords we heard were Tumelo Madlala as well as Longwe Twala. Now, this man says he downloaded this data. He essentially was there to talk about the protocols that are followed to ensure that the evidence is not tampered with. His role was really not to analyze, but we know already that the data that he downloaded was analyzed already.
Sure.
I think 2 weeks ago by one Lieutenant Colonel Stein, if I remember his rank very well. He is the one who actually says or told the court that one of the accused number 5, Mr. Nduli, actually the phone linked to him telephoned Kelly's phone, I think first on the 2nd of August in 2014, and again on the 15th of October. That was days before Senzo Meyiwa was killed on the 26th of October 2014. We don't know what the two were discussing. Of course, we are expecting that the police investigators, as and when the trial continues, they will shed some light as to exactly what were the two talking about. Now, what transpired in court today was that this Mr. Mushwana was asked during the evidence in chief by the state advocate whether part of his mandate in terms of downloading this information and data from the cell phones included retrieving the deleted information. And his response, he is saying, yes, usually that's what we do. However, he did point out that depending on the type of software you are using, some softwares are able to retrieve deleted information, others are unable. But he did not say whether this particular RY software that he was using, he didn't say whether it was able or unable to retrieve deleted information. His response was that I simply did not retrieve that particular information. But maybe let's listen to him as he was explaining this whole process.
Sure.
If there's any information that has been deleted on the device, who will be able to pick that up?
It will depend on the software that it's utilized by the XRY or the extracting program.
Ukuthi ke kunemininingwane engasekho ke nemedilithiwe ukuthi lokho kuzotholakala kanjani ke lokho ke kuzoba ukuthi ke iXRY software noma ke program esetshenziswayo ke iyiphi.
Yes. So if it's able to extract deleted data, it will be able to do so. If it can't, it won't be able to.
Uma kuukuthi ke lokho ke okungasekho ke manje noma sekudilithiwe ke ekwisimo sokuthi iyakuthola iyakwazi ukubuyisa izokwenza. Uma kuukuthi ke ayikho kwisimo sokuthi kubuyiseke okudilithiwe angeke kwenze.
But was it part of your mandate to check if there's any deleted information?
Yeah, usually we have to check that.
Ngokunjalo ke into naleyo kufanele siyibhekeke ukuthi akukho yini okucishiwe ke noma okudilithiwe.
Yes. Were you able to? What was your finding in this regard? Or let's put it this way: did you check for that in this specific matter?
I didn't.
Of course, Moloko, we know that there were also questions or conversations, discussions, if you will, about the issue of a SIM swap. But let's talk about the access to Senzo's phone in particular. How are things around that particular matter?
So the issue of the SIM swap you are referring to was also spoken to in court by Lieutenant Colonel Steyn, who was analyzing data that had been downloaded by Mr. Mushwana. So he said that I think a day or two after Senzo Meyiwa died, there was a SIM swap that was done on his phone. He didn't mention the person who did that, but we know certainly it was not Senzo Meyiwa because he had died. And he said that the only person who can succeed in doing that is the person who had an ID or identity document of Senzo Meyiwa. And at that time, Kelly Khumalo is the only person who had that particular ID. She had not handed it over to the family. It had to take the police and some family members to travel to her place to get that particular ID document. Right. But we must emphasize that we're not saying, and there was no one in court who said it was Kelly Khumalo who did the SIM swap of Senzo Meyiwa's phone. Now, Senzo Meyiwa's phone was also one of the phones that were analyzed. And however, they couldn't have access to it. All because, as we had in court, it was because this particular phone still, the password was still active. And seemingly, the software couldn't override it. It's just a technical issue which really made it difficult for the police to have access to it. But maybe let's listen to the presiding officer, the judge, who also made a remark regarding the inability to access that particular iPhone.
Yeah, my inquiry is about the encryption. Is it not so that iPhones, the headquarters are in New York?
That's correct, my lordship.
Right. Don't we have a license? I know the manufacturers normally would license particular police agencies to decipher and download information. We don't have. Why I say this, you remember the Pistorius case?
Yes, I remember.
We did not have such licensing. Consequently, his phone was not able to be decrypted. So we don't have a license to do that.
As far as I know, my lordship, in South Africa, we don't have. It must be shipped back to UK, and they will know, because it's their product, what to do with it.
That was ENCA reporter Moloko Moloto coming to us live here in our Johannesburg studio. Right now,